The movie begins in Prague at a British intelligence section building where Chief Dryden, the head of the 00 section, is confronted by a spy. This agent waiting in the office for him is none other than James Bond, and when the chief enters the room, he's immediately probed for betraying the organization and selling its secrets. The chief underestimates the rookie MI6 agent, saying that he's not yet a 007 assassin because he doesn't have up to 2 kills to his name. However, he doesn't know that the man sitting in front of him has already killed one of his contacts earlier in the bathroom, and when Bond reveals this, Dryden tries to shoot him. Unfortunately, he isn't as fast as the agent, so Bond unceremoniously shoots him down. With 2 kills now under his belt, James Bond becomes the newest agent with the 007 title, so he's sent on an assignment with another agent named Carter. Somewhere in Uganda, a man named Mr. White connects a warlord general to a shady bank manager named Le Chiffre. Le Chiffre assures the general that he'll handle his money and keep it safe, but in reality, he's gambling the funds on the stock market. Meanwhile, in Madagascar, Bond is tracking down a terrorist named Maloka, but Carter accidentally gives away his true identity, and then a chase begins. Maloka displays great agility and speed in an attempt to evade the 007 agent, but while he's flipping and jumping, Bond just enters a caterpillar to recklessly close the distance between them. The chase proceeds into a construction site, and when Bond tries to follow him up the towering beam, this parkour stuntman takes an incredible leap to safety. At this point, Maloka believes that he's safe and then seeks refuge in the nearby Nambutu embassy. Unfortunately for him though, the relentless agent follows him there and disrespectfully strolls into the place, knocking out everyone in his path before dragging out the exhausted bomb maker. In a matter of seconds, James Bond is surrounded by military men pointing their guns at him, so he decides to change tactics and gives up on taking the hostage alive. The 007 instantly guns down Maloka before shooting an oil tank nearby, which causes a massive explosion. Bond then uses the blast as a window to escape with Maloka's bag, and when he opens it, he finds a homemade bomb as well as a cell phone with the code word ellipsis that was sent to the phone. As you can imagine, Bond's explosive adventure in Madagascar causes international unrest, which makes his boss M very furious with him. Because of this, he doesn't go back to HQ in London and decides to track the cell phone's contact to somewhere in the Bahamas. He does this with M's terminal after breaking into her house, and when she returns home to see her problematic agent, she just gets more pissed off. Even though he's currently the cause of her headaches, she still has so much faith in him, so she sends him to Nassau to continue his mission. At the Ocean Club Hotel, the seasoned spy skillfully scopes out the security and uses a distraction to infiltrate the place with ease. He checks the security footage to date back to the ellipsis message, and he determines that it was sent by Alex Dimitrios, a middleman who sets up criminals with their employers. Dimitrios lives on the island as well, so after Bond checks into the hotel, he coaxes the receptionist into giving him intel on the man, which includes the fact that he likes to play poker. Afterward, the 007 agent goes over to the gambling ring and humiliates Dimitrios by smashing him in a game of poker. He wins the middleman's vintage Aston Martin and then goes further to seduce his supermodel wife while he's out on business. Later that night, we learn that Dimitrios was the one who brought the bomb maker to work for Le Chiffre, so now that Maloka is dead, he offers a replacement terrorist to maintain his reputation as the greatest middleman in the criminal world. As such, he flies down to Miami that same night to give the new worker the details for the job, and when Bond learns of this, he cuts short his fun time with the supermodel and races down to the Magic City. He tails Dimitrios to a casino where he spots him dropping a bag with the new contact. However, the middleman is a veteran of the trade, so he quickly discovers that the agent is spying on him, and he confronts him. The two men engage in a tense and subtle knife fight, not wanting to draw attention to themselves, but this tussle quickly ends when Bond takes him out with an uppercut and a knife to the side. After eliminating that threat, he follows Le Chiffre's latest recruit, and as he tails him all over the city, he notices when he changes into a security uniform to access the restricted area of an airport. Seeing this, the 007 agent contacts HQ to inform them, and after the team back there does some digging, they discover that the replacement terrorist target is the new Skyfleet Airbus during its unveiling. Bond soon determines that ellipsis is the passcode to the airport security, so he uses it to continue his mission through the sea of panicking people who are afraid because of a fire alarm, which, in truth, was actually set up as a distraction. Outside, the terrorist responsible for this rigs an explosive underneath an oil truck and then drives it across the airport to intercept the brand new aircraft, but Bond realizes the imminent danger, so he runs up a stair lift and jumps into the truck to stop him. The two men slug it out inside the speeding truck, and after a tough fight, the terrorist jumps out, leaving the agent to his fate. Thankfully, Bond manages to stop the truck before it crashes into the Skyfleet Airbus, but even though he just saved the day, he's immediately attacked by airport security. While Bond is being apprehended, the annoying terrorist reappears to detonate the explosive that he placed on the truck earlier. But the moment he activates it, he's horrified to realize that the agent actually attached the bomb to his belt during their fight. And at this point, it's too late, so Bond watches him inadvertently blow himself up and feels very satisfied about it. When Le Chiffre learns about the failure, he realizes that he's just landed himself in hot water because the launch of the new aircraft means he's lost over $100 million of his client's money that he gambled in the stock market. Desperate to salvage the situation, he organizes a high-stakes poker tournament at a casino in Montenegro. And guess who's on his way there to frustrate him again? That's right, it's our favorite British spy, James Bond. Being the best poker player at MI6, he's sent to play at the tournament to make sure that Le Chiffre doesn't win. This is so that they can force him to defect to British intelligence before his furious clients kill him. On the train to Montenegro, Bond meets his new partner for the operation. It's the Treasury agent, Vesper Lynd, and she makes it very clear from the get-go that she thinks the plan is bad because if they lose the money they've been given to play, they'd be indirectly funding terrorists. And she's got a point. After settling into the hotel for the tournament, Bond meets his local contact, Mathis, who helps him get rid of the corrupt chief of police who's working for Le Chiffre. Afterward, Bond and Vesper get each other some very fancy clothes before heading down to the casino for their high-stakes game. Before the tournament starts, all the players are made to deposit 10 million euros for the winner to claim at the end of everything. During the first round, the skilled agent makes a loss, but he doesn't take it too hard because he gets to study Le Chiffre's body language when he's bluffing. Keeping his cool, he concocts a martini and places a tiny listening device to spy on the banker. During first recess, he tries to listen in on Le Chiffre's conversations, but that's when the Ugandan warlord arrives with his men. The general threatens Le Chiffre and warns him not to lose the tournament. On the way out, he and his men spot Bond's earpiece, so they attack, knowing that he's been listening to them the whole time. Things escalate into a brutal fight on the stairs, which ends with the injured agent choking the warlord to end with Vesper's help. Afterward, she's traumatized by the fact that she's become an accomplice to murder, so Bond comforts her. By the second round, the game becomes even more intense as weaker players are dropped off. Le Chiffre suddenly implies a weak hand with his gesture, tricking Bond to step up to high-value bets. Unfortunately, it turns out to be a trap, and the banker reveals that he knew James observed him earlier. The agent loses all of his money to Le Chiffre in that round, and Vesper refuses to fund him any further. At this point, Bond opts to change his tactics once again and attempts to just end things by killing Le Chiffre on the spot. However, he's suddenly stopped by another of the players who turns out to be Felix Leiter from the CIA. He admits that James is a very good player and offers to cover him for the next round on the condition that the Americans take Le Chiffre in after he loses all of his money. With the British agent back in the game, Le Chiffre smells danger, so in a desperate move to save himself, he poisons James's drinks. After unknowingly consuming it, James instantly realizes that something is wrong, so he rushes to the bathroom to wipe up some throw-up juice with salt water before requesting assistance from HQ. The doctors back there diagnose the poison and guide him through some steps to save his life, but he passes out before completing the whole process. Thankfully, Vesper is just around the corner, so she comes to save him in his collapsed state. After getting back on his feet, James goes for the final round of the tournament, with such high stakes that push all the players to go all in. This time around, Bond learns from his previous mistakes, and he comes out victorious, winning all of Le Chiffre's money. James and Vesper enjoy a victory dinner, which is cut short when Mathis betrays them. It turns out that he was the one that told La Chiffre about Bond's observation during the game, so when Vesper excuses herself to take a call, the British agent quickly follows, only to find her being abducted by the shady banker's men. A high-speed car chase ensues, but things go south when he swerves off the road to avoid running over Vesper, who was tied up and left in the middle of the road by La Chiffre's men. This leads to a ghastly car crash, and although Bond survives, he's immediately captured by the banker's men, who cut out the tracking device on his arm before taking him hostage. La Chiffre has the agent stripped butt naked and whips his bottom over and over to get the access code to the bank account where all the money is. Of course, Bond doesn't tell him shit, and just when La Chiffre is about to take the torture up a notch, Mr. White suddenly barges into the place. He reveals that his secret organization cares more about trust than money, and seeing that La Chiffre has failed that test woefully, he kills the corrupt banker with a headshot. Afterward, the winning funds are transferred back into the treasury, and while Mathis is arrested by the Secret Service, James and Vesper finally get a chance to start a romantic relationship. The two go on a lover's cruise in Venice, and while Bond prepares to finally quit MI6 to live happily ever after with his new lady, fate has some other plans for him. M suddenly contacts him to reveal that the Treasury never received their money back. In a shocking turn of events, James learns that Vesper has been working for Mr. White's organization the entire time. Heartbroken by this, the 007 agent goes into beast mode to hunt down Vesper and Mr. White. He kills her handler, but when he gets to her, she succumbs to her guilt and allows herself to drown. After her death, Bond is devastated, especially since Mr. M slips away with the money. He receives another call from M suggesting that Vesper was forced into her arrangement to save his life. It turns out that her former lover was abducted by the same organization, so she had no choice but to play by their rules. With the coordinates that she left on the cell phone, our favorite British agent makes his way to Mr. White's villa. By using a surprise call and a gunshot to the leg, he introduces Mr. White to the 007 agent named James Bond.